What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Dota commentary. And this is a matchup that I have been looking forward, that a lot of people in the esports community have been looking forward to. The first ever matchup between Liquid Dota and EG Dota. And this is a matchup from the Killing Spree tournament run by NeoDota. Again, if you want an alternative version of this cast, check out youtube.com/NeoDota2 or twitch.tv/NeoDota2 for the VODs there. I do believe that this was casted by Mout and whatever co-caster he did cast with. And it looks like Universe is connected again. Maybe he's going to be co-casting with Universe. But yeah, everybody, or at least everybody on Team Liquid, ever since Liquid picked up a Dota 2 team, everybody was looking forward to this matchup. And this is the first ever matchup that these two teams have played against each other officially. EG and Liquid, known for their StarCraft/StarCraft 2 rivalries. And honestly, I can't really tell you too much detail about that. I don't follow StarCraft whatsoever. But I do follow Dota, and I've been reading Team Liquid, and they have been very, very excited. And people have been a bit concerned about Liquid because they have been very inconsistent. Meanwhile, EG has still remained among the top Dota 2 Western teams. But we'll see. Again, EG seems to be playing very infrequently, at least from what I can tell. But they have made it to the winner's bracket of the Defense 3. And so far as I can tell, they are performing relatively well in the raid called Dota 2 League. And man, this is just an exciting time for Dota in general because ESL is announced. And so whoever gets to compete in that, and North American teams more importantly, have just been announced that they are allowed to compete in that as well. So whoever gets to compete in that will just be, it'll just be a great time for the Dota 2 scene in general, and it seems to only be skyrocketing. But yeah, EG seems to have all the momentum on their sides. They seem to be doing quite well in Dota 2 thus far, even though they have been playing a bit infrequently. Meanwhile, Liquid have been performing a little bit inconsistently, made it to the loser's bracket of Defense 3, have a 3-3 record in the Dota 2 Raid Call League, and they did beat Fnatic North America in their first matchup of the Killing Spree North American series, but that was the Fnatic North American team with a bunch of stands, like literally a day after the disbandment happened and everybody was playing stand-ins with Smurf. But yeah, so the format of the Killing Spree tournament, if you're not familiar with it, is that I think a team has to win 3 matches in a row, and then they get $100, which qualifies as a Killing Spree. If you get 3 kills in a row in Dota, it's called a Killing Spree from the very venerable announcer guy. And just going over the picks, man, it looks like nothing too out of ordinary. Keep in mind, Liquid does have first pick, so I expect EG to ban the Batrider here, because nobody wants to give away first pick Batrider these days, but maybe they have something else in mind. They feel like Liquid likes to play a bit more unorthodox, so maybe EG will be lucky enough to pick up the Batrider for them. But I think if Liquid are given access to the Batrider, it would be a pretty big mistake by EG, since the Batrider, as we all know, is pretty awesome and a pretty cool guy. But yeah, back to the Killing Spree sort of tournament setup. You have to win 3 matches in a row. So far, Dignitas have already won 3 matches in a row against their opponent, who I think was EG, or they won their series. So they get $100, and then for every successive series that they win, they get $50 extra. And it's between 4 teams, so I'm not too sure how long the tournament runs, but it's a relatively cheap tournament ticket of only $2, so if you want to buy it and help support the North American scene grow, go to it. But EG's going to ban out the Undying, so Liquid, if they don't pick up the Batrider here, I'm going to be very, very shocked. As I'm not really too sure who the Batrider player on Liquid is. Most likely Korok if Batrider does go mid, Balba if the Batrider goes off lane. But really, Batrider's just been banned constantly in Dota 2 that I can't honestly say who the usual Batrider player for Liquid is. Meanwhile, EG probably values Darkseer a bit higher, so maybe that's why they banned out the Undying and left Batrider open. So they're going to probably pick up the Darkseer here for Demon, I imagine. If not, give it to Jail for the mid lane. But yeah, EG again seem to be playing pretty infrequently. Probably just due to the schedules of the tournament's not really any fault of their own. But hopefully they'll turn around. I know Melk expressed great interest in playing the ESL, and he was one of the big proponents in allowing North American teams to compete in that, even though he is European, because all the rest of his teammates are from North America. And EG going to pick up 2 very annoying heroes in the form of Darkseer and Nyx Assassin. So we already have our offlane hero in the form of Darkseer and Nyx Assassin, with that Spike Carapace will support in the trial most likely. And how would Liquid decide to deal with these? Well, already we can assume that Storm Spirit is out of the question because Nyx is in the picture. And Nyx does pretty well against mana-dependent heroes, if you haven't noticed. Man, if you get matched up Nyx against Storm Spirit, then if you're a Storm Spirit, you literally are useless because you just get mana burn and then suddenly you can't move and it's just a pain in the ass. But Liquid gonna pick up the Lifesteal, pretty good against NA, doesn't really have to worry too much about mana. And we'll see what they decide to pair the Lifesteal with. Will they pick up their Challenge Sports, or will they choose perhaps their mid lane or off lane hero? Keep in mind, Batrider, a very versatile laner, can go off lane. Considering Liquid is on the main side, Batrider does have easier access to sort of that dire creep pull, and can also fly over the cliffs, preventing a lot of deaths. So Batrider could potentially offlane, could potentially mid-soul, which I think he's probably one of the best mid-souls in the scene, along with Queen of Pain. Could jungle as well, could even be offensive tri-laning, as Batrider pretty strong in his laning possibilities, and of course one of the best initiators in the game. That's why he's so good, and the fact of the matter is that he rides a frickin' bat, and he hits on all the Dota female chicks. I mean, what's not to love about this guy?
EG's turn to pick.
Except for the fact that he's a ginger. But he doesn't have freckles, it looks like, or pale skin, so maybe he's just a daywalker. So Liquid gonna pick up Rubik, probably for fluff, or IX might gonna probably be in a support capacity. Rubik lifesteal pretty good, and if Rubik steals something like the wall, or even mana burn, or surge, could be pretty deadly, or vacuum, will be very, very good for the lifesteal to just pounce on anybody. And keep in mind, Liquid do have a solid form initiation, so evil geniuses will have to clump, so that might allow Rubik to steal a very nice spell in a team fight if a giant team fight does break out. But Rubik, of course, that telekinesis does prevent the Darkseer from running away, allows Lifesteal to get a couple of auto attacks, can also bait out the Surge and then cast telekinesis, essentially wearing down the level 1 Surge time just by itself, and then allowing Lifesteal to cast double wounds. They're pretty much BFFs. EG's gonna pick up the Void, and I feel like Void is like one of the most underrated carries right now in the current state of Dota 2. Sure, he kind of sucks early game. Sure, he does take a bit of time to get going, but he is the master of teamfight carries. I mean, you sort of understand why Phantom Lancer was picked, because he can split push a lot better. Void, meanwhile, not nearly as mobile as something like a Phantom Lancer or Anti-Mage. And Phantom Lancer is so good because he puts himself in so low-risk situations. He can just send his illusions forth, and once he has enough agility, he can just attack a couple of times, create another army, and then split push with that. Defend lane by himself, but Void is the king of teamfight carries in my opinion. And, you know, it was picked quite frequently in DreamHack Winter, and then he sort of just dropped off the face of the earth. If he had a face, but it looks like he does not, because he is in fact Faceless Void. So yeah, Void, a little bit of a boring hero to watch because he's pretty useless in the early game, but I still feel like that he's a very underrated hero in general. Meanwhile, Liquid probably going to ban out mid-solo heroes that could do potentially well against Batrider, because I imagine right now Batrider will be going mid, but they're going to ban out secondary supports, off-lane Darkseer, Nyx Assassin, will lane with the Faceless Void. So Liquid going to ban out supports that could potentially shut down heroes like Batrider or Lifestealer. Keep in mind, you can Nightmare the Batrider, you can Fiend Script the Lifestealer for 5 seconds. Even if it does do damage through that rage, just makes it super annoying for Lifestealer to deal with. Bane is sort of his arch nemesis. Meanwhile, EG gonna ban out the Chen, saying, okay, if you get some push going, we have a very, very strong late game carry, but we don't want to get pushed against. And right now your lineup pretty mid-game, pretty powerful in the mid-game. Rubik, very powerful. Lifestealer, perhaps the strongest mid-game carry, just because he gets going so fast and doesn't need 3.9k to buy a BKB. He has his own built-in BKB. And Batrider, all he needs is sort of a Blink Dagger, and they can just sort of roll out from there. So EG going to take away some of the early pressure that Liquid could potentially dish out. And also, well, I mean, at this point it does look like Batrider is going to mid lane, but still anything is possible. This could just all be one try and setup. So EG, a bit of a tricky situation on how they would approach their bans, because either Batrider could go mid, could go jungle, could go off lane. So Team Liquid has a lot of versatility remaining with their picks.
EG's turn to ban.
Meanwhile, Liquid, using a lot of the reserve time, already banned the Shadow Demon, so there goes the Soul Catcher Nyx Assassin, which is so deadly. And one of the best ways to sort of secure the late game is just to gank constantly, so that you can't really push as 5 with one team. So Shadow Demon, one of the best ganking supports in the game, if not the best ganking support. And he's still very relevant in the late game. Keep in mind, if Lifestealer does rage up, he can purge him, and he will still be magic immune, but he'll be slow as heck. And Lifestealer does tend to get kited in large-scale engagements, especially with the Darkseer on the other side.
10 seconds remaining.
So, meanwhile, EG, we'll see what they decide to go. Again, Liquid's lineup very versatile, but they're going to ban out Visage, who has been favored by Liquid quite a bit. Visage, a very powerful early game hero, but I feel like he's too risky right now. He only really works in a try versus try situation. but Rubik, Lifesteal, and Visage could potentially be a very deadly trial, and if they get matched up against Void, who again is quite terrible in the early laning phase, Nyx Assassin, who's a melee hero, that Trial versus Trial situation could absolutely decimate EG. So it looks like EG just trying to secure the Void pick as much as possible, and that's when the downfalls of Void again. Phantom Lancer can just split push a lot earlier, can farm a lot faster than Void once he gets his farm going, and, you know, doesn't really have to worry about it because if one team's pushing tower, Phantom Lancer with his army can help push another tower and just be super annoying so that the other team constantly has to be on the defense.
5 seconds remaining.
But so far, no Phantom Lancer pick or ban, and we're probably not going to see a pick or ban because we already see our primary carries. Although Liquid could potentially run Lifesteal as somewhat of a semi-carry and pick up Phantom Lancer for themselves. And I know EG Melk has made his opinions on Phantom Lancer very well known, saying that he hates Phantom Lancer, he hates Keeper of the Light, and Liquid did him the favor of banning out Keeper of the Light already. Meanwhile, Liquid gonna ban out the Disruptor, saying that, okay, if Barrier blinks in, or lassos in, we sort of want him to continue dragging the opponent away. We know that Beatus does play a pretty strong Disruptor, so we just want to sort of secure the Barrier, secure whoever, you know, we're fighting against, so that they don't get completely annoyed by that glimpse. Static Storm, pretty useful spell. Kinetic Field, pretty useful again. And keep in mind, Team Liquid does want to be up close and personal. Rage does go right through that Kinetic Field, but still, Batrider has a very difficult time, especially since he can't force staff out of it anymore.
10 seconds remaining.
And EG gonna bat the Wisp Lifesteal, very potent combination. And Liquid wasting a lot of their reserve time, gonna pick up the Sand Kings, so this is most likely gonna be the try line. Don't see nearly enough solo Sand Kings, and don't see very many Sand Kings in general these days at all. Sand King, a pretty powerful semi-carry, decent support. And when I say semi-carry, I mean if he gets the farm that he needs and gets an early Blink Dagger, he can potentially wipe out EG just with a well-placed Epicenter. But Sand King, as support, can't really contribute nearly as much, but he's pretty solid. I mean, once he gets a Blink Dagger, he still has a lot of relevance. With the Epicenter now slowing through, BKB can definitely slow down people like Void, NA, and the pulses won't really get too reflected by the Nyx. Just one pulse will get reflected by that. Of course, a lot of mobility, very difficult to kill, so overall a pretty strong support, just needs a decent amount of time to get some levels. And we'll see how they utilize the Sand King. Will they roam with him? Will they just stick him in the lane with Lifestealer and have Rubik roam out? It's really interesting to see. But most likely this try-line will be the try-line for Team Liquid. Barrier looks like we'll be in the mid lane position, EG taking a lot of time. Again, they already have two components of their try-line down, and they have either their mid-solar or off-lane hero. Most likely going to be off-lane Darkseer. And we'll see what they decide to pick up for Jail, as they decide to go for a Beatus pick in the form of Jakiro. So I imagine it's going to be Melk playing the Nyx and Beatus playing the Jakiro. Because Nyx does want a little bit more farm, Jakiro doesn't need nearly as much farm. And EG, trying to secure the team fight, vacuum into Chronosphere, into Macro Pyre, into Ice Path, into Dual Breath, just will completely wipe out Team Liquid except for Lifestealer. And keep in mind, Void doesn't care about Lifestealer's rage with that Chronosphere intact, goes right through it and just can attack Lifestealer at will. And again, even if Rubik steals that Chrono, Void can still move freely through it. So Void, very, very powerful against Rubik. So really, the spell Liquid's looking to steal is most likely going to be Vacuum or Ice Path, and that'll really help their engagements, as Liquid going to last pick Nature's Prophet. Huh, pretty interesting. As it's going to be an offlane Nature's Prophet most likely, or we could just see a direct Nature's Prophet jungle at this point. As, yeah, Nature's Prophet very strong and pushing, and can apply a lot of pressure while EG does want to sort of take it to the late game. And keep in mind, if Void is not really the most mobile carry compared to something like an Anti-Mage, a Phantom Lancer, or Morphling. So Void will have a pretty difficult time dealing with Nature's Prophet split pushes if it does come down to a late game scenario. But Nature's Prophet not really seen as much because he's not really that strong in the early stages of the game. But Liquid already has a pretty strong early to mid game lineup, meanwhile EG not really known for their early to mid game presence with this lineup. Jakiro, Darkseer, and Nyx all want to be fighting team fights except for maybe Nyx. And actually, I'm kind of surprised there wasn't any bounty hunter pick or ban, but anyway, that's out of the point, as looks like EG going to pick up Enigma with their last choice, so we'll see how they decide to lane this really, really weird lanes, as I guess it's going to be Darkseer mid with Enigma off lane, and who's going to get matched up against the Darkseer mid? Probably Batrider, and Batrider does win that lane, but keep in mind, Darkseer just says lol to sticking napalm stacks can just surge out of the way if Batrider starts to dive, and I'm expecting this will be a long lane Enigma. Or we could just see, I don't know, some sort of weird dual lane aggressive try, and I'm not too sure how EG will decide to lane it, but Demon is going to pick up the Darkseer, so it's going to be off-lane Darkseer. Melk most likely going to play the Enigma, and it's going to be Fear playing the Nyx. So it's going to be a bit more of a farming Nyx. Not too sure what EG is doing with their laning composition. But one thing they do have is that they got team fight down pat. Although they do leave themselves open to Rubik potentially stealing Black Hole. I mean, with all this team fight, as long as you catch Rubik in the Chronosphere, then Rubik won't really have a chance to really set up that Black Hole. As there is a directed camera on, so I'll turn that right off. But yeah, we'll take this time to introduce the players in the team. So it's going to be Fluff playing the Sand King, Karak is playing the Barrier, TC is playing Lifesteal, Bulba is playing Nature's Puff, and IX Mike 88 is playing the Rubik. No stash on this hero. Shouts to Jeff. Not too sure who Jeff is. I think that's In Control. But yeah, meanwhile on the side of EG, it's gonna be Fear playing the Nyx, Jo is playing the Faceless Void, Demon is playing the Darkseer, Beat is playing the Jakiro, and Melk is playing the Enigma. And man, if you haven't seen that EG announcement video where they revealed their League of Legends team, Demon was just sort of like right next to Snoopy, who I think the League of Legends player was, just sort of like reclining like a pimp. But yeah, interesting matchup, interesting game, interesting lanes, as Jo is going to be completely miserable. I'm completely miserable, San Diego, as it's going to be an offensive try and matched against Void. And again, Void, really not known for his early game presence, very, very crappy. Doesn't have anything like a ranged nuke off of Phantom Lancer, doesn't have anything like a double walk to escape, and doesn't have anything to increase his farm like a Juxtapose. All he does have is the Chronosphere and the Time Walk, and a lucky bash or two to sort of really help him out in lane. Keep in mind, doesn't have access to that Chronosphere until level 6. Meanwhile, IX Mike placing a very, very odd Observe Ward, saying that, okay, this ward probably gonna, if we do ward here, it'll probably just get de-warded no matter what, so we'll just see if Enigma's jungling. If he does start to rotate in, we'll catch him, and this ward most likely not gonna be de-warded by any circumstance. As any Sentry wards, no. So it looks like the Demon is gonna be jungling with the help of Melk? What's EG doing with these lanes? I'm not too sure. As it's gonna be Fear mid lane, Nyx. As looks like Jo and Fear have swapped roles a bit. Again, last game I casted, Fear played the mid solo Quap and Jo played the hard carry. But that's pretty much the only time, as I missed the first blood. So I'm just gonna rewind that to see exactly what happened. Cause guess what, bitches? I'm on a replay. I can do what I want when I want. So we're just going to see people dancing back and forth. And the sound horde begins. Meanwhile, going to see the EG players rotate again. Not too sure about their lanes. As it's going to be free farming Bulba off lane, Karak mid lane. And you don't really want to give a hero like Nature's Prophet free farm because he just gets going a lot more quickly. So again, not really too sure about this EG laning set. Maybe once they see the offensive tri lane, they're going to be like, okay, we can deal with the Nature's Prophet pretty well. As I imagine, Melk or Demon will get sent down to the bottom lane, but we're going to see Beatiz and that Liquid Ward saying, what's up, Beatiz? We see you. Hey, you're not going to de-ward this because you have no sentries, and that's not usually a place to place a ward anyway. As Beatiz is going to roam around, and Liquid knows. Fluff going to initiate. Easy stone of Fluff's the life. And here comes the telekinesis by IX Mike. There it goes. And here comes TC, just going to cast the open moves for the slow, doesn't even need rage. And nice job by Liquid making sure that TC does get the last hit. So EG already in a pretty big deficit because they already lost to Jakiro. Void won't really have the easiest time in terms of farming because Sand King, unlike other melee sports, does have access to 2 stuns at level 1. And Jo will just die to this Trilane if he does get caught because he has no points to backtrack and he's pretty squishy, only has that stout shield. Meanwhile, Fear against Karak. I feel like Nyx Assassin gets absolutely decimated in this lane. Mana burn, I mean, you really don't need too much mana to be casting Sticky Napalm anyways. Karak going to take a little bit of harassment. Once he gets his bottle, he should just be on top of his game. I mean, Napalm's so cheap, 20 mana at level 1. And it just really is a very powerful lane control spell. Really just outclasses mana burn unless Fear decides to put a lot of points in mana burn. So EG's lanes are really weird. At least in my opinion. Maybe it'd be time to sort of switch Void to this bottom lane to farm up against Bulba. Maybe even solo, or maybe just with one hero. But it looks like Melk just going to be jungling it up. A lot of pressure is going to go on Melk because, again, the early game, Enigma wants to farm up as much as possible. Therein lies his weakness. But Melk, I feel like, might have to play a bit more aggressive because so far it seems to me that all the lanes on EG's part will lose. But we are going to see teleport bottom by Jail, and once he picks up Poor Man Shield, we'll sort of mitigate a lot of harassment that Liquid could potentially dish out to him, and looks like Liquid don't really feel the need to sort of switch out and sort of match up their trial against Jail again. They're already like, alright, we have free farming lifesteal, we're pretty fine in that regard anyway. As we're going to see a rotation round by Demon, really can't catch up to Korok. Korok does have that bottle, fear of mana burning like crazy, but again, just Korok will have a relatively easy time against Nyx, but Nyx does have a magic stick, and mana burn means that even though you can't really stop the napalms, you can stop the firefly, which is the only way that Fear can really get a kill, as Fear just trying to get a bit of harassment onto the creep wave, trying to get a last hit on the creep, but it looks like Ball was going to get trapped. EG's saying, we kicked you off a team for a reason. Nah, that's not the reason. As looks like Bo is going to get stunned in place, and unfortunately for Jail, Enigma did get the last hit with his Eidolons. But hey, better safe than sorry. Mel going to get a bit more gold, and that might actually be better for EG. So Mel can start getting his jungle, getting his mechanism, getting his push going a bit earlier. Because Jail will find his farm no matter what. He is the hard carry. The team will look to find him as much farm as possible. But meanwhile, any bit of farm that Mel gets will just sort of accelerate the relevance that he has in the stage of the game where he's most required to have it. But yeah, Korok, again, really can't Firefly over Fear, so Fear pretty safe in terms of dying, and it looks like Fear has a significant experience advantage. I'm guessing that Korok went for a couple runes, may just harassed a bit, but Fear so far handling the lane pretty well, actually outfiring the Batrider, which shouldn't really be, you know, possible for a melee hero against Batrider, because Batrider pretty much destroys every melee hero. But so far, Fear is playing this lane magnificently, so even though I said EG should be losing all of their lanes, they're doing a nice job mid. It seems like they're winning mid at this point, and bottom should be okay, but now it looks like IX Mike has rotated bottom to help out Bulba, who's just like, yo, I'm on a better team now, I'm on Liquid. We're gonna win. Once we get some momentum going, we're just gonna stomp EG all the time. I don't know if EG StarCraft ever sort of stomped Liquid StarCraft, because again, I don't follow StarCraft. But yeah, Fear looks like he's going to sacrifice rune control, just going to ball Courier, and just let Korok get all the runes in as much as possible, as Beat is going to tangle around. Nicely done by Beat is, as he's still only level 1, might hit level 2 right now, he will hit level 2, as Demon does teleport in top, and TC probably won't die. Demon just going to rotate top, as he is just going to be pretty much fine. Again, TC, without IX Mike, can't really get the kill, even with Fluff there, onto the Darkseer. So if Vitas want to abandon this top lane, then that might be okay for Vitas. But it looks like Demon just going to jungle it up. I'm not too sure what Demon's going to do, just going to take as much farm as possible. But that is going to mean that Vitas is pretty much shafted in terms of experience. Meanwhile, Fear being pressed back a bit, even though Korok has spent a little bit more time getting runes. Korok popping that double damage rune, saying that, okay, you can mana burn me, but I'll still throw down a lot of harassment. And once Barrier does hit level 6, you want to be as high HP as possible. Because Barrier Lasso just will decimate you. But so far, a lot of movement in the jungle. TC, once again, last in creep's going to go for that Midas, like he so often does, as either Lone Druid or Lifesteal, going to accelerate his experience growth and just make his farm a lot more powerful, mostly for the experience growth, because again, Lifesteal doesn't really do that well against Jail in the late stages of the game, but if you can just get a really fast level really early on, then you can have all your skills max, you can do much more damage much earlier on. So that's sort of the reason why we see Midas so often these days. Not really for the gold, because it's more just for the experience to get an early level advantage, so hey, you already have more powerful skills as the game goes on because of those higher levels. Meanwhile, Melk finished up that Soul Ring, and again, Jail, really hard pressed to stay in the lane, already forced to pop a salve. Didn't pick up a Poor Man Shield, interestingly enough, as looks like the EG squad completely abandoned Jail. I guess they assume Jail's gonna get his farm no matter what, but still, completely abandoning him seems a little bit rough for Jail. As Bulba gonna teleport to the bottom lane, pick up a nice invisibility rune, sort of thwarting the efforts of Fear. And now Korok has a pretty solid advantage in the lane. Fear does have pretty much full mana, as Korok really not enough mana to do anything aside from getting a couple napalms here and there. And Fear, what's his skill build? Pretty much standard, 1 point to mana burn. I imagine he's gonna max spike Carapace. As you would think against Barrett in mid lane, you want to get a couple more points to mana burn, but he's like, no, I don't care about the increased cooldown. I'm just gonna get the spiked Carapace and Impale up, because those are more relevant outside the laning phase than mana burn is. And you can see Nyx with that fully upgraded magic wand, 11 charges. Korok's going to be very hard pressed to kill Fear. So far the lanes, it seems like EG is doing pretty well in the mid lane. Losing bottom lane now that they sort of left JL to the wolves. And losing top lane. But they're winning jungle, so that is something. As Fearin is not jungling, Fearin is laning. As there's going to be a teleportation bottom by Fear. Was it caught out by the side of Liquid, as he's going to invis up. And it looks like Bulba sort of senses something's up. I think either Korok saw the TP, or Korok says, alright, he's missing. But Fear is just going to go very aggressively. Vendetta's about to time out, so he's going to lose a lot of backstab damage, as well as ammo. Surprise, he's going to pop down right now as he's waiting for JL to initiate, but the telekinesis is going to lift Fear back up to the air. As there goes the tree traps. Spike Carapace has been used already, but Fluff teleported in. Here's the stun. Fear is going to die. As I think Liquid, even though they didn't see Fear, I think they just noticed, alright, it's not yet the room time, but Fear is completely MIA. He's probably ganking one of the lanes. So that's why Liquid is playing superb defense right there. And able to pick up a relatively easy kill. And again, the question for me, for EG at the very least, is what is JO going to do? Where is he going to farm in this game? As Korok going to be thwarted in his attempt to pick up a rune. You can see Liquid only has one ward up, as looks like a slight attempt on life of TC was made, but really couldn't do anything to stop him. TC with that level 4 of rage, 6 seconds of magical immunity at this stage in the game means he's pretty much immortal. Can't really get stunned by anything, as JL gonna get a Chronosphere off onto Korok. Here comes the teleport in by Fear. Look at the damage JL's pushing out, as here comes the stun in by Fear, teleport in by Fluff, and by Bulba. The Flame Break does push out EG, recognizing that, okay, we probably can't kill them. Fluff really not enough high level to really dish out too much damage. We're just gonna push him away, save the life of Korok, and really try to save him for that blink dagger. But EG, in the meantime, going to apply a lot of pressure to the top lane. We'll pick up a relatively easy tower. Demon going to last hit that up. The question is, what will Demon going to go for? Is he going to go for an early game pipe? A lot of magical damage is on the side of Liquid. Most importantly, that epicenter. And imagine Melk is going to go for the mecha. Yes, he already has a headdress. So it looks like Demon going to pick up the arcane boots and going to go for a pipe as well. And a lot of defensive items in place. Again, Liquid do not really have the best team fight in comparison to EG. They have an okay team fight. I mean, they have Wrath of Nature, they have Epicenter, they have Grave Initiation. But in terms of just mass 5v5 engagements, as JL gonna get Firefly and last it up, he is definitely gonna die. Trying to time walk away. A lot of backtracks might save his life, but he's now out of mana. Unfortunately, can't teleport out, but ends up wasting a little bit of Liquid's time, but very much worth Liquid's while. The less time JL can have to farm up, the better. As really, JL's just having a terrible game at this point, just because of the lanes. Still managing to get almost 30 CS, pretty impressive on that account, but still, not really anywhere close to any of his core items, as I think he's going to go for Battle Fury, as he would have probably picked up the, he didn't pick up the Perseverance, so maybe he's going to go for Vanguard, I'm not too sure. But yeah, he's going to be under a lot of pressure in the early stages of the game, because Liquid does realize if Void does get farmed up, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Meanwhile, Melk pretty close to that mechanism. Keep in mind, EG does have a tower lead, so they're getting a nice boost of gold by that account. And TC, after his -9 magic, is going to go right for Armlet, unless he goes for something like a dagger. Fluff really content on not getting too many levels, as looks like IX Mike going to rotate in. IX Mike is actually playing the 4, as he is level 6. Fluff is going to just play the 5 this time. So, looks like IX Mike has stolen Chronosphere, pretty good in terms of initiation, or setting up a nice engagement for Liquid. But the question is, how will they use this Chronosphere? As Fluff, unfortunately, not yet level 6, as they're going to teleport down. Nice Radiant Ward spawning out the movement by Fear and by Demon, as they probably saw the casting of the Iron Shell. And that means a teleport in, that means Fear going to be thwarted in his gank attempt once again. But yeah, pretty nice to see that NA is getting a decent amount of farm. Decent amount of levels. I feel like NA, he's a very, very, very powerful support. But I always love playing him a bit more selfishly, because I'm a very selfish player. And I love playing him in that mid lane position just so I can gank and make lives completely miserable for the other team. But still, there's a reason why he's picked so often as a support. It's just because he can function very well in that role. Meanwhile, Demon? Really, I'm not too sure what EG's game plan is. Just to play very patiently, wait for JO to get as much farm as possible, try to bait out team fights and just going with Black Hole, Vacuum, etc., etc. Demon has 2 points into Vacuum, 2 points into Surge, which can outrun the Telekinesis, so I think that's the reason why I put an extra point into Surge. But meanwhile, Fluff trying to pick up some lows, wants that level 6. The question is, will Rubik still have access into the Chronosphere by the time Fluff does have that? That will be the perfect setup to get a lot of damage on that Epicenter, as it's going to be cast of Chronosphere by Axmite, going to steal Fear's spell, as he does manage to steal Vendetta. Can he get out of range, of tower range? No, he cannot, but Krok does blink in with a Blink Dagger, completely unexpected on the part of EG, but a Black Hole by Milk, gonna suck in absolutely nobody. But still, I got 2 kills, and I know Krok has that dagger, but Milk already showing a magnificent Black Hole. I mean, it was very well worth it to help get the kill on Krok, as Fear is going to get surged away from TC. Bulba is going to teleport in. He has a Midas as well, as an Impale is going to cast a Fluff, trying to do something. Not yet level 6. We'll hit level 6 after this wave. But again, EG's teamfight is just so much better than Liquid's, it's not even funny. Especially since Fluff doesn't even have access to the Epicenter just yet. You can just now put a point into the Epicenter. And there's going to be a smoke attempt by EG. They sense that one of the ways that Liquid wants to regain some of their momentum is through ganking Jao. And the question is, will Liquid fall for this bait? As Fluff is going to wrap around, mostly for experience, and they're not going to set up any gank, but Fluff might just end up dying for his troubles. Going to get Vendetta as well as Iron Shelled, and going to get Ice Pathed right in the face. So EG, despite their relatively sort of difficult time they had in the laning phase, they're picking up in the early stages of the mid-game pretty admirably, as it looks like they do have access to the Chronosphere, so there's really not too much Liquid can do to try and engage us without the Lasso being up. And unfortunately, Lasso is not yet up. Smoke and Deceit was popped by Korok. You can see he can fly across the map until the Firefly runs out, where you're just going to get put right into this position and be completely miserable. As looks like Dire did plant an Observer Ward, and they do spot the fire, but they just knew that. I bet they probably had the timing down on Flaming Lasso, so they said, alright, Korok most likely has Flaming Lasso up again. We should probably back off. But the question is, what will Liquid try to go for? I mean, at this point, they're down in terms of tower count, and they're against a Void, and a vastly superior teamfight lineup. How will Liquid sort of combat this? I mean, they have pretty good gank, but really it relies once every 90 seconds on Korok's initiation. As you can see, Korok popping that Firefly just to get that bit of flying vision to see if there was any wraparound ganks coming from that direction. But it looks like Liquid pretty content to play the farming game. I guess they sort of think that they have the advantage if Nature's Prophet and Lifesteal can pick up sufficient amounts of farm. They have 2 very decent late gamers compared to sort of only the Void on the part of EG. But EG has such great team fight, as Iron Shell is casted on Bulba, or on Fear, and they're going to shade on Bulba yet again, but here comes Krok with the blink in. Looks like Bulba will escape yet again, as Epicenter is going to be chilled. Demon's going to take a lot of damage. He's going to vacuum and try to surge away. Can he escape? No, he's going to take a Flame Break right to the face. Here comes Speedus with Reinforcement. Going to cast that Dual Breath, but Aegis Path was stolen by X-Mike. Nice reactions by Mike, as another Burst Strike being cast. Going to pick off Fear. Going to lose Beatus as well, so I guess that was what Liquid are waiting for. They're just waiting for EG to make mistakes. And I'm surprised EG was playing so aggressive. I mean, they do have a pretty farmed NA, and they can be aggressive with that. But I do believe that they win the late game. But EG, with that 3-man death, not claiming any of the lives of Liquid, gonna lose a tier 1. But meanwhile, Jao's gonna go for that Battle Fury build. But still pretty far away. About 1,800 gold away, as the tower is going to get glyphed, but it is going to end up dying. Teleport in by Fear. Question is, can he do anything? Ice Path is going to freeze Fear right in place, but no Lasso is up just yet. Is Krok level 11? No, so he still has a relatively long cooldown on the Lasso. But still, will EG continue to play super aggressive? I guess they sort of think that if they can win the early stages of the game, then they have the late game down pat with their team fight. So they're just gonna fight Liquid as much as possible. But Barrett does have his Lasso back up, is level 10. But the Treants are gonna scout out. Note, those are actually Bulbous Treants, as Demon gonna retreat with that Surge, but they're gonna blink it on Milk, gonna catch Milk. Ice Path is gonna freeze, but TC doesn't care about no Ice Path. Milk is just trying to get in position for a Black Hole, but he's just gonna sacrifice his life. But here comes Fluff on the offensive. Unfortunately, the Burrow Strike just a little bit too short, even though Fluff is level 8 with that max level Burrow Strike, just a little bit too short to catch the retreating demon. And again, I don't feel like EG should be playing so aggressive. But I guess this is probably the best way to sort of secure JO free farm. They really don't want Korok to be blinking with that lasso onto JO. So they just want to sort of force Korok into lassoing whenever possible onto everybody else. But EG losing some of their advantage. They did lose the tower, and Liquid is pretty ahead in terms of kills, so check out the gold graph. Right, do have a significant advantage because of those 2 minuses on Nature's Prophet and on the Lifestealer. And the kill lead. Experience advantage definitely in favor of Liquid. Again, the minuses and the kill lead do play a definite factor into that, as Fear can Vendetta out and just going to pop an Invis rune. Doesn't really want to use a Vendetta, especially level 1 Vendetta. Such a short duration, 20 seconds, really not worth using it if you can just get away with that invisibility rune. But Fear, unable to really farm or get his ganks going, is 2-2-1. But again, what EG is just doing, they're just trying to clear as much room for JO to get as much free farm as possible. Meanwhile, TC finished that armlet. What's he going to go for next? Will he go aggressive with the dagger? Will he sort of go more teamfight oriented, get an Orchid? Will he get an AC? Will he get a Deso? I don't really think Deso is probably the best choice because EG, not that early tank of a lineup. So I think Blink Dagger or Orchid or even AC, probably a better choice. But he is going to infest Korok, and Korok is level 11, has that shorter cooldown on the lasso, increased duration. And we'll try to set up a gank on JO. JO playing a bit defensively. It looks like Dire do have a ward there. Very, very, very defensive ward. So JO can constantly be on alert. And I think they did, yep, Korok is planted right near these wards. These wards, new meta, as they do see TC spotting out, and that is going to dissuade Fear from going in. Now it looks like Fear does not care about no TC. They're going to try to set up a gank, as Vita is going to rotate in. I don't think they can kill Fear or TC, so it looks like Haste is just going to be used by Fear to escape. And the question is now for Liquid, is now that EG started playing a bit more carefully, what will Liquid do? Will they try to pick up a Blink Dagger on Fluff? Fluff really very far away from Blink Dagger. No ambitions from picking up Blink Dagger on his part, I think. Mike, pretty far away from where he's going to go for. Looks like he's just warding up for the most part. TC, not really going to go for Desolator, looks like. Just try to rip through JO as fast as possible. Or even rip through Darkseer, who's pretty tanky. So Desolator, pretty good, but I feel like Dagger or Orchid or AC would be a better item, but Desolator is cheaper than something like an AC. But TC is going to get harassed a bit. And Korok with that dagger going to go for the 4-staff, so when he blinks he can just cast that 4-staff, get the heck out of dodge ASAP. Mecha finished on Bulba. Will he go for something like a 4-staff, or will he just go straight Hex after this, or an Orchid? As I'm not too sure what Liquid's game plan is. I'm not really too sure, since Fluff isn't really farming up, so he's not going to dagger at any point in this game, it seems like, until he gets like a couple of kills. So I'm not really too sure what the timing is where Liquid want to push in. I mean, maybe when Lifestealer picks up the Desolator, they can have minus armor to those towers. But EG, I feel like, can just play this turtling game and can play it pretty well. I mean, they do have to worry about the Nature's Prophet getting more and more powerful, but they have a Void. And Void does beat Lifestealer and anybody on the side of Liquid pretty hard, in my opinion. As Hood has been fished on Demon, and he's going to go get pretty close to that pipe, so Fluff will be rendered pretty irrelevant with that epicenter damage. And even Firefly damage will get reduced a lot by that Pipe of Insight. So I feel like if the game keeps going the way it is, I think EG have a vastly superior advantage. As you see, Vita is going to stack the camp, allow JO to just continue his farm. And JO does have that Battle Fury finish finally. Pretty late Battle Fury, but he was under immense pressure. Still managed to get about 100, about 5 CS a minute. Pretty respectable, considering what pressure he was under. And Bulba gonna go for that Hex, the best choice to try to deal with JO, because he is gonna start playing a factor now. They can farm much more quickly. Keep in mind, JO pretty squishy, and probably won't go for second item BKB. I imagine probably gonna pick up something like a Mask Madness or a Maelstrom or something like that. As BKB Void, you will be magically immune, but you can still do jack all in terms of damage. And EG, even though they have really strong team fight, still want some physical damage. Otherwise, they can get potentially countered by a Pipe pretty hard. But it looks like Pipe is not in the work. They do have level 1 of Nullfield, which does give them some nice magical resistance. And it looks like Liquid trying to make something happen. They are going to use a smoke to see to try to catch off Jail or Melk or whoever's in the jungle. But EG going to take this time to smoke up into Roshan. And no map control inside Liquid. Jail's just going to farm up in the mid lane. And looks like EG are very content to make this trade. TC is going to pick up free tower. He is going to have the Desolate up very, very soon. But no wards on the side of Liquid. But nice treated scouting by Bulba. Will spot the Roshan attempt. The question is, will Liquid do anything about it? Any TP scrolls? No TP up on Korok. As TC does have a TP, they're going to need smoke to try to get to the Roshan pit a lot sooner, but I think it might just be a little too late, as looks like the middle tier one will fall in exchange. So 2 towers for the price of Roshan, pretty worth it for Liquid. And if Liquid can actually contest this, that would be huge, but Jail does pick up the Aegis, and it looks like he's going to leap in, trying to catch off Bulba. Bulba is going to immediately die. Will Liquid reinforce it? A Chronosphere is going to be casted, trying to catch off Fluff. Here comes Korok with a blink and lasso. Unfortunately, doesn't lasso anybody. Here comes the wall. IX Mike is going to get the Chronosphere activated, but Jail doesn't care about Chronosphere. He is the master of the Chrono. Meanwhile, Melk does get a pretty solid black hole onto 2 heroes, trying to catch off TC. TC going to do so much damage with that rage up, but now he's forced to run away. And so far, it looks to be a 2-for-1 engagement as Melk died. Fluff bought back, so 3-for-1 engagement, so definitely favored EG, and Jail still holding on to Aegis, a lot of gold in his pocket. So EG must be feeling pretty happy on how that fight went. And looks like Melk gonna go straight for that BK. Again, the only thing that goes through is the lasso. So Barry will have to make a decision. Do I grab Jail? He's the best team fighter, the best late game DPSer on the side of EG. Alright, do I grab Melk, who can just black hole us without fear if I don't grab him? And that's really a difficult decision for Korok at this stage in the game. But, I mean, as the game goes later and later, Nature's Prophet does get more and more powerful with that split push. But still. I'm a little bit worried for Liquid at this point, checking out the goal graph. Slightly in favor of Liquid. They do have 3 towers compared to EG's 2. And keep in mind, they also do have those double minuses. Experience graph slightly favoring the Dire, which is a little bit worrying because, again, Liquid do have those double minuses, but still, really not too big of an experience deficit for Liquid. Barely even 500 experience at this point. And TC, what is going well for Liquid is that TC seems to be just playing very, very well at this point. Just raging in, hitting everybody Desolator, melting people, and really unable to be touched at this point when Jail only has a Battle Fury to his name. And will Jail go for Meta? Will he go for Mask Madness? Will he go for AC? Or will he go for BKB at this point? He probably won't go for BKB considering his age is up for another 4.5, 5 minutes. As looks like TC with the help of Korok able to easily clean up Jakiro. But again, it's just a Jakiro. And Beat has spent all his money before he died buying wards like a dutiful support. But I think Liquid can definitely get back in the game once Fluff picks up his dagger, which it looks like Fluff is actually saving up a lot of money. It seemed to me that Fluff is going to go for the drums, but I think he recognizes how important dagger is, because really the only form initiation they have is the lasso with the Leicester inside of Korok. They really want to sort of get as much magical damage as possible, otherwise the Pipe will just reduce that. And Pipe can't block everything. Pipe will do an admirable job in terms of stopping Sand King's significant portion of Sand King's damage, but it won't stop all the Firefly, it won't stop the Burrow Strike, it won't stop the Fade Bolt. So Epicenter placement is very, very important for Liquid, I feel like, especially in these upcoming engagements, especially since Epicenter does go through that BKB, which Jayo, interestingly enough, did go for, even though he does have Aegis for the next 3 minutes. But I guess it sort of makes sense when you look at it this way. EG sort of know that Liquid want to win soon, or they want to make something happen soon, trying to get some sort of map control, trying to get some sort of advantage. So they try to pick up, you know, the best times for that situation, not going to go super greedy, just try to get the items that they need to win the next team fight, which I think EG does feel like it'll make or break the game. And that can be debated, as Korok is going to have a gem, and Fluff is going to have his dagger up pretty soon. He's going to have level 11 as well, so that Epicenter will hurt, even through the pipe. And again, TC, very, very difficult to stop at this point. Only Black Hole and Chrono will slow him down. And keep in mind, Jail not really pumping up the sufficient amount of damage to really stop TC on the back of his right clicks. As it's going to be initiation onto Fluff, he's going to find himself out of position. And he's gonna lose his dagger money. That's a pretty big mistake by Fluff. Not too sure what he's doing there, but that is gonna be pretty huge for EG. Gonna delay Fluff's dagger, gonna leave him out of the picture for the next 30 seconds, so a big mistake by Fluff right there. Will cost Liquid a tier 1 tower, but again, Lister is gonna push in the top lane, and now we're seeing the power of Nature's Prophet just gonna split push the top lane as well. And there's gonna be teleports by EG, as will EG be able to claim this tier 1 tower? Milk and Demon still staying through, as looks like Flamebreak did cancel one of the teleports, so that's a bit of a waste of gold as IXMech is going to get initiated on. IXMech does have a 4-staff, or is going to get 4-staffed away by something. How did he oh yeah, Time Walk by Void, I see. So it's going to be a tier 1 for a tier 2. Can the Dire push in and get the tier 2 as well? If they can get that, it's definitely worth the exchange, but keep in mind Liquid can just push in to apply a bit of pressure on the tier 3. As IXMech is going to find himself in a world of hurt, he's going to die very, very easily. There's going to be teleport back by Liquid. Here comes the initiator by Korok as Cronus here. Not enough to stop Korok. Melk is going to pop the BKB, going to get TC and Korok. This should be a big victory for EG. But unfortunately, TC tanking so much, but he's going to die. He is going to die. TC's going to die as well as Korok. Meanwhile, Void going on a rampage with that BKB. Going to clean up most of Liquid. And Fluff unable to channel the epicenter. Without that dagger, so much more difficult to channel the epicenter. And that allowed EG to pretty much steamroll that fight. They threw so much of their attention on Milk. Milk able to pop that BKB after the lasso expired. And just able to get a nice spot call, stalling Korok and TC in place for the full duration. And EG, can they claim racks off this? I don't think they can. Can they even claim a tier 3? Looks like they're just going to back off, play it safe. BKB's down on Void. Aegis is going to be down. Or Aegis is already down. It did time out, I think. I don't think Jo actually died.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
You know, bottom tower is taking a lot of damage, but Liquid should be feeling a bit worried because they threw so much of the attention on Milk, and he still survived through a lot of that damage. As I'm not too sure if TC was fully focusing his attention on Milk. Maybe he's just trying to kill Jo a bit. Not too sure. But what is important for Liquid is that they do have Hex up on Bulba. That is pretty significant. Keep in mind, they probably won't be able to Hex like the Enigma or the Void. They still have 9-second BKB charges. But if they can Hex something like Demon or Fear, who can throw out a lot of damage with that spiked carapace, really stunning people, or Mana Burn, which can be cast every 4 seconds now, it would be pretty important for Liquid. And once those BKBs are done, I mean, if Bulba is still alive, that Hex will be very, very useful against Milk, or more importantly, Jo. But Jo, gonna pick out that Mask of Madness. 9 seconds on the BKB, still a lot of time left of magical immunity. And probably gonna go something into Butterfly or an AC at this point. He attacks a lot faster. Now just wants to sort of get a bit more utility, either a bit more survivability, either with armor or with evasion with Butterfly. Probably won't go for something like a Daedalus right now, considering he has no Aegis. You know, Liquid gonna use his time to smoke up, only smoking up with 3. They don't want to put TC in that big of a risk. Actually, TC probably inside Korok. No, it does not look like he is. He is actually inside Bulba, who can teleport in at a moment's notice. They feel like if Korok dies, they really don't want to be caught out of position, as Milk is going to be caught out of position. And here comes the teleport in by Bulba, and Milk is going to die. And Jail's going to jump in, he's going to pop the Chronosphere, will get lifted up in the air, going to pop BKB, as well as going to take a bunch of damage. He is going to die, but here comes the Epicenter by Fluff, the first time utilized in this game. Unfortunately, not enough damage to really do too much, as it's going to be a 3-for-1 engagement for Milk, and IXMech, fortunately enough, not going to get bashed. And Liquid really caught off, as I'm not too sure why TC uninfested Bulba, but honestly, if TC infested Bulba and they went back in, I think TC probably would have died. They might have been able to get more kill, but losing Leicester at this point in the game would pretty much mean a free racks for EG, especially since Milk will respond faster and will push in with that Blink Black Hole, or with that BKB Black Hole rather. But, I mean, small victories. Liquid, 9-second BKB charge off on the Void, so there's a small victory. And they got the Enigma, preventing sort of the Blink, but really, small victories don't really mean that much, considering that they did lose 3-1, and they're losing a lot of map control. They're losing 100 gold to smoke ganks, really not too much to be happy about if you're a Liquid fan at this point. The only thing that can be said is that TC is farming like a champ, but still being eclipsed in terms of net worth. Jo with that Battle Fury able to farm much more quickly. and is in a significant number of these teamfights. 618, getting so much gold from these teamfight engagements. Check out the GPM. TC slightly higher GPM, but Bulba involved in more kills, able to definitely help out his net worth. But TC, a lot of his items were on the courier with that AC, so now his net worth should be surpassing Jail. It is. And what will Liquid do now? Are they going to wait for Epicenter to be back? They should wait for Epicenter to be back. Only 10 seconds. Are they going to wait for TC to have buyback? Probably not, I imagine. They probably just want to try to put in as much pressure as possible, but they are going to run into a black hole BKB by Enigma. And Jo with that Chronosphere Battle Fury saving up enough gold for buyback so he can get back in the fight if he is isolated by Korok. But Lifesteer does pick up a DD, pretty significant. Gonna mean that he puts out so much damage if somebody like Fear does get picked off. And Korok had a gem. I think he lost it. He did lose it in that engagement. And the question is, can they get anything from that? No, looks like there's no gem up on Liquid side. Meanwhile, the gem for EG should be in the picture, unless they got rid of it. Where are you, Beatas? There you are. No, where are you? Fear. Fear has the gem. So EG is going to play it super safe. They have the pipe up, so that's pretty good. I mean, what more can you say? Pipe on Darkseer. Those illusions pack a huge punch, 140% damage. Definitely nothing to laugh at. Well, once it's level 16, that is. At this point, 120%. It's good enough. But EG gonna crowd and run Roshan, and considering there's no Magnus and the Darkseer is on the side of EG, Melk and Demon should reign supreme, but Melk putting himself in a very awkward position. He should be staying outside the cliff, but he is gonna get... Oh, the Flame Ray gonna put Beatas up on the high ground, and can they actually kill him? Epicenter is gonna channel, doing a lot of damage to Demon, but he does pop the pipe, and looks like they are gonna isolate Melk. Melk trying to get in position, pops the Mecha, trying to pop the BKB, trying to get in position from Black Hole. Can he pick off TC or Korok? TC's under a lot of pressure. Black Hole just on TC, but it's gonna get nicely chronoed by Axe Mike. They're gonna go on Melk. Melk is the first one to die in this engagement. Here comes Jo, as unfortunately they didn't clean up the H's, and here comes TC, as looks like Jo gonna get surged away, but Korok is gonna blink in, and fast by the Lifesteer. Nice reactions by Liquid, as they are gonna pick up this team fight with relative ease. And wow, EG, what was that positioning? Really, really weird. As usually when there's positioning like that, the Darkseer or Enigma is positioned outside of Roshan. But they are going to lose that engagement heavily. Jo is forced to buy back, delaying his item and losing another BKB charge. Really, Liquid played that fight well. Nice Chronosphere by IX Mike stealing that and trapping Melk in place. So there's actually a second spell that goes to that Chronosphere. The Chronosphere by IX Mike is so key in terms of stopping Melk and allowing TC to go back in. And TC has an Aegis, but really I think that teamfight was purely on the fault of EG making a mistake, and will we see the traditional EG throw? Man, that would be super unfortunate.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
But Demon will respawn. We'll have that wall up pretty soon. The tier 3 might die, but they should be able to hold on to the racks. But Fear gonna get hexed in place. He's gonna die. Gonna lose the gem as well. Bulba gonna actually approach it to try to pick up the gem. Gonna get 4-staffed away. Here comes Jo. Jo does not yet have the Chronosphere up. But keep in mind, IX Mike died in that last engagement, and looks like TC doesn't care about anybody, just cares about the buildings. He has Aegis. He can afford to not care, but he's going to get bashed in place, going to get held in place by the Mask and Madness. He's going to lose his Aegis. And Rage should be on cooldown. Jo is going to pop the Chronosphere, and will there be a blink in to try to interrupt it as the second Chronosphere popped by IX Mike, but Jo does not care, going to kill the TC very, very easily, and looks like IX Mike going to be on the retreat. And can he actually escape? He is going to get vacuumed. He is going to die. So a bit of a greedy play by Bulba, sacrificing his life to pick up the gem, ultimately losing it. But it did allow a lot of time for TC to go to town on those barracks. TC, does he have buyback? He does have buyback. So EG won't be able to pick up a Rax. And Bulba had buyback as well, trying to split push it up. No, looks like Bulba actually got out of there with the gem. Interesting. As EG pushing in, I don't think they can actually take this. Jo doesn't have buyback. Melk's Black Hole is not yet up. But EG sensing the pressure that TC and Bulba are starting to push on. Looks like they want to claim at least a tier 3. And TC, is he going to buy back? He's going to have to buy back. Why isn't TC buying back? Are they gonna get with the barracks?
Bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower.
The glyph is down. They're gonna give the barracks for free. Really, really weird decision by Liquid in my opinion, but there's gonna be blink initiation by Korok onto jail. No Chronosphere in place. BKB is popped, but Fluff is going to channel the epicenter. Ixmec is going to be the first one to die. Vacuum trying to suck people into the wall. Unfortunately, not enough. Here comes TC trying to go onto Demon. Melk's going to pop the Ghost after jail is going to die in a matter of clicks. As here comes the BKB by Melk, but where is the damage? As here comes the Ice Bath and Dual Breath Macropire doing a lot of damage, but it looks like EG got what they came for. They got the racks, but they are going to lose potentially racks in exchange because JO does not have buyback, and they blew the black hole as well. As questionable decision making by both teams, TC not buying back, choosing those barracks, and EG. I think Melk should just save the black hole once he saw that TC killed Jo. And they're going to lose Fear as well. And this is Liquid's chance. They will be able to clean up these barracks relatively easily. Jo does not have buyback again, and Dire do not have a glyph. They might even lose the second pair of Rex. Jo will be out of the picture for quite a bit. Tier 3 still at relatively high HP. But it is going to be overall a Rax exchange, and who did favor? I think it overall did favor Liquid, because they did use Black Hole, or EG did use Black Hole. TC did not use his buyback. JL used his buyback in the last huge base fight engagement. So these engagements, oddly enough, are favoring Liquid, even though EG does have the vastly superior late game in my opinion. But the decisions are just so weird, but the experience graph says that it's very even. Gold graph slightly in favor of the Radiant. JL will be responding very soon, but still has that Eagle Song up, so he was able to make some purchases. I was saying his item progression has been slowed down heavily. Has at least the Eagle Song to get him some armor, gain some attacks. So you're going to catch off TC, going to try to isolate TC. Korok's going to blink it, but get trapped in the Chronosphere. Going to take additional Battle Fury, but TC's just too tank. Here comes Wall, going to try to kill off Korok. Korok's going to force staff himself way through it. TC does manage to pick off Jo, as looks like Demon did kill Ixmec in exchange. Where is TC? Where's TC? He's infesting. A creep gonna pop out, saying surprise bitch is gonna kill off Melk, gonna kill off Demon very, very soon. And EG, are they gonna throw the game? As Demon is ghost sceptered, he's trying to escape, and TC gonna arm with toggle away, but they are gonna pull TC away, but TC has buyback, and he is gonna use it. So wow. I feel like Liquid are just making a lot better decisions in these team fights. I mean, the last team fight was pretty much, you know, the other team made a bad decision. As unfortunately, Jo just not enough damage to really kill off TC in one Chronosphere duration. And again, Ixmec on top of these Chronosteals. The problem with Void is that you initiate with Time Walk and a cast Chronosphere. You have no other spells to be stolen other than that Chrono, unless you something like initiate with Chrono and then Time Walk in, but that wastes like 1.5 seconds of that time of that Chronosphere duration. So I expect if he positions himself correctly, will always steal that Chronosphere, and he has been positioning himself magnificently in these engagements. And one thing that is worrisome for EG is that the BKB duration is down to 5 seconds on both, or on just jail. Melk's BKB is dying down very slowly, so that Hex is going to play a bigger and bigger factor. And MKB has been finished up by Bulba. He's doing significant damage. Now, I don't think MKB does go through that backtrack, but it will go through the evasion that Butterfly will give up jail once he does get it. So at this point, I think it's safe to say Liquid has a decent advantage in the late game against this teamfight lineup. What is this sorcery? As EG trying to smoke up, Roshan is going to respawn, well, in about 4 minutes, very far away. And he should just turtle up until JO has Butterfly and buyback. Otherwise, they don't really stand too much of a chance in the next team fight. TC's just getting so fat. He has the heart, he has the AC, he has the armor, he has the Midas, he has the Death Slider. Will sell the Midas soon, get his next big item. Was forced to buy back, but he will have the buyback for our next team fight if EG do play it slow. Meanwhile, Bulba is just going to get richer and richer. And even the supports, Ixmec is going to find his items somewhere. BKB has finished on Batrider, pretty significant, even though there is a Chronosphere in the black hole on the other side. Mana Burn, Vacuum have just been really, really detrimental to Korok to initiate. But now he can pretty much initiate onto Melk for free. Unless Jared uses a Chronosphere just to pop onto... Uses Chronosphere just on Korok and TC if he can position himself correctly. And that means IX Mike, again, will have access to that Chronosphere. And what will EG do now? Goldgraph taking a significant swing for Team Liquid. Almost 12k experience graph, slightly in favor of Liquid, but the gold graph I feel like plays a much bigger indication compared to the experience graph in this situation. And checking out the creep stats. 288, 262. Meanwhile, EG very far behind. Creep stats don't mean as much, but when compared to the net worth, Jo has just been dying too often in these engagements, unfortunately to him. He was 6-1 in 8, now he's 7-4-11. Really having a difficult time in these last couple engagements. And just positioning by Liquid. Never, ever out of position to really get more than 2 people caught in the chrono. I mean, sure, TC is always going to get caught in the chrono because Jo wants to make sure TC's not fighting for a couple of seconds. But, and he might catch off Korok if Korok's initiating. But that's it. Other than that, nobody else is getting caught in these chronos by Jo. So just really nice positioning by Liquid. Fluff always tailing his epicenter at the beginning of the battle. Will slow off Jo because it does go through that BKB. And keep in mind, the positioning by Liquid means that just because only 2 people are caught in that chrono, he's forced to pop the BKB, and that means once the chrono ends, because Jo can't really kill anybody, that leaves him open to hexes, leaves him open to barrel strikes, leaves him open to Rubik telekinesis, which allows TC to just isolate him and just go to town onto Jo. So Liquid really playing these team fights very, very smartly. And Korok has the gem. It means EG essentially playing in the dark. So even though EG does have a really, really strong team fight, Liquid just making all the right moves to counter this team fight. Really, really impressive player. But keep in mind, I still think that EG do have the better team fight if they can just manage to execute it perfectly. The problem is that that Liquid have been positioning themselves so well that they won't be caught into the vacuum black hole. They're initiating, forcing people to clump up, but if EG ever get the chance for that vacuum black hole, Midnight Pulse, Chrono Epicenter, or Chrono Ice Path with Dual Breath or Macro Power, everybody on Liquid will just die. So there's always that in the back of EG's mind. And EG, Butterfly, not yet finished, can be finished pretty soon, but EG gonna play aggressive. And Demon gonna reveal the smoke. Or gonna reveal that he can at least cast Iron Shell. And Fluff might be caught in a bad position, gonna initiate Chronosphere, is gonna be cast, but Jo is gonna be stunned for a bit of time, and Axmike is already gonna steal Chronosphere. Nice Malefice, as looks like here comes Jo, gonna immediately kill off Fluff, was gonna buy back, gonna kill off Korok as well, but now gonna get hit by Bulba, as Bulba's gonna get all his mana drain. NA, super annoying, and now TC is starting to see the problems of Lifesteal in late game, just gonna get kited relentless, but now Open Wounds has been cast on Jo. Here comes Fluff with the buyback, Epicenter has been channeled, as looks like it's gonna be a 3-for-1 gauge in favor of EG. But they did lose Jo again. Jo should have buyback. Beat is gonna get Open Wounds, and Malefice and Ice Path gonna slow him down. Beat is will end up dying. Does he have buyback? He does. Yep, Jo does have buyback, but really hesitant to use it, but they are gonna lose Melka as well, so it's gonna be overall a 3-for-3 engagement. As Fluff bought back, IX Mike bought back, and Korok died. But I guess EG don't want to take this fight without Melk's Black Hole, and that means Aegis and Cheese will be up for Liquid. Tisa gonna have the Aegis, Bulba gonna have the Cheese. Actually, Bulba gonna have the Aegis and TC gonna have the Cheese. But the good thing for EG, it was 3-for-3. With a 5-second BKB Void. Void didn't have to buy back, and they still have Black Hole online. So that fight actually went pretty evenly, which is definitely better for EG considering they've been losing the last couple of fights. And the fact that they made it even though they didn't kill off TC, who's just being super, super difficult to deal with for EG, it is pretty good considering that they didn't use a Black Hole. I think it was mostly because Mel could not really find an appropriate position. And maybe he didn't really want to use it when he saw IX Mike buyback, because again, Enigma always has that danger of having his Black Hole stolen. IX Mike with the Force Staff, Bulba after the MKB went for that Crystallis, doing so much damage. All can't be evaded. Jo is going to get initiated on. Jo is going to die. And can Milk get anything happen? Just gonna get one-man black hole onto TC, who does have the cheese. Gonna take a lot of damage, and Milk is gonna get melted very, very soon. Liquid Fluff is gonna blink it with the epicenter. JL cannot buy back, as looks like EG are gonna fall apart. Can JL actually buy back? He does have the Chronosphere up. No, he went for the Talisman of Evasion, and that means he cannot buy back. Why was JL positioned that far ahead? This is why Barrett perhaps one of the best initiators in all of Dota. Especially with the Leicester. Oh boy, that's a lot of burst damage with the Nature's Prophet Hex, and man. And EG gonna probably lose his first match, as I don't see them defending with 40 seconds left on JL's respawn. But they can try. It's just so difficult to come back against a Nature's Prophet. Especially Nature's Prophet who has not bought back in a while. Well, he still has 2 minutes left. When you don't really have any sort of really strong split pushers like a Phantom Lancer, Anti-Mage, or a Tanker on your side. And looks like the Radiant gonna clear up Mega Creeps. Ice Path gonna freeze TC, and looks like Demon gonna get lassoed right in the face. Open wounds onto Demon. Demon's gonna pop Ghost Sifter. Fluff gonna kill off Fear, as Demon gonna get the vacuum, but again, positioning by Liquid means that they're never vacuumed. And meanwhile, Leicester just gonna go back in jail. Does respond Chrono up onto IX, like saying, "You're not gonna steal Chrono from me again." But the Sprout by Bulba, oh my god. Is this the game? Is this game that Liquid just gonna finally all make it click? I know a lot of Dota fans have been waiting for that to happen, but man, I think just that early Roshan engagement, man. GG's called by EG, and they will go to a game 2. But Liquid must be feeling pretty good about themselves again. I do feel like they have weaker late game, but just this one Roshan fight where both Demon and Milk, like, why would you all clump up in the Roshan pit when you have Darkseid and an Enigma? As I guess you could sort of vacuum everybody there, and Enigma can just pop the BKB black hole, but still that is pretty risky in my opinion. As that one Roshan engagement, I think, just spelt the death of EG. And TC gonna end the game with a casual 1200 gold, or 12,000 gold in the bank. But EG gonna fall to Team Liquid in game number 1 of this Killing Spree series between EG and Team Liquid. I'm B-Ballin, B-Ballin773. Please subscribe and follow me on Twitch. I stream every night, in case you guys don't know. I stream every night at around 9 to 10 Eastern time for about 2 to 3 hours. So if you want to watch some pubs where I die over and over and slowly start to lose my sanity, you can check that out. But I will be back with game 2 relatively soon, so thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you next time. Peace.